Hi guys, Harbs and Narbs here. Today we're going to be looking at what we can expect in Acts 2 and 3 of Baldur's Gate 3. There won't be any data mine spoilers in this video, and I'll largely be focusing on the themes that I think we can expect in the later parts of the game, because I can talk about this without making reference to any specific data mines. Obviously there will be spoilers regarding Act 1 of Early Access. Okay, let's go. In an interview with GameIndustry.biz in 2020, Sven had the following to say regarding the initial creative process. Wizards is very supportive. The first thing that they did is they sent us a shitload of books and miniatures, and we have access to all of the geeky stuff that they have. When we started, we brainstormed together with the creative team about what the story was going to be. Very early on, the idea of making the Mind Flayer central was there, based on a picture in Volo's Guide to Monsters, and then I pitched the idea to them. They said, shit, yeah, do that. But then, in an interview with Metro, Sven said they're not the main bad guys. They're part of the overall plot, but they're not the main plot. Probably one of the first conversations that the writers over at Larian had when they decided on the story hook being getting kidnapped by a Nautiloid and implanted with a tadpole was how are we going to stop the ceramorphosis that will slowly happen over a period of 7 days? Well, they've done that quite well. The tadpole is in stasis, so that means no ceramorphosis, and then we can't remove it because it is being influenced by Netherese shadow magic. The game is, in a sense, railroading us, but it's a good thing. Like any competent DM, we still have a wealth of choice, but it's within a well thought out story with necessary barriers. This is a theme that I can see continuing throughout the game. We'll have many options in how we influence the world, possibly more than we have ever seen in a game before, but it will be in the confines of the story. So it could well be that the tadpole issue isn't a huge part of the overall game at all. It's pretty common for a lot of films or TV programs to use a plot hook to introduce us to the world, main characters, villains, etc., without that plot hook being the absolutely most important aspect when it comes to the main story, as it might get replaced by an even bigger story. Like, why does everyone have necklaces with symbols of the Dead 3? Who is this voice?
Hear my voice.
And why is Descent into Avernus a direct prequel to this game? The tadpole may simply be a good way for Larian to introduce us to a long-running theme in the Baldur's Gate franchise, which is that the main character has a personal struggle that collides with the main story. A burgeoning mysterious power within, constantly being plagued by strange cryptic dreams, all whilst having the choice of seeking out or refusing power. The seeking out or refusing power was especially relevant to us in Baldur's Gate 2 when you had the option to turn into the Slayer. You would receive a hit to your reputation, but you'd gain the powers and abilities of an avatar of Baal. It was always a temporary transformation and one that would come with consequences, namely the reputation hit, but this represented you slipping further into your murderous paternal side. This has likely inspired the option to use your tadpole. It makes certain situations infinitely easier, but you're likely using a corrupting power. Now, this may seem completely irrelevant, but it's worth just giving you an example. In Raiders of the Lost Ark, we were introduced to Indiana Jones when he steals a golden idol from a temple. We get to see his character in action and learn a bit of what he's like as a person. We're also introduced to one of his main villains, who then takes the artifact off him. The actual plot of the film is about the Ark, but the film itself has already presented us with a main character, a villain who reappears later on, as well as some of their motivations, strengths, and weaknesses, which is what the tadpole could be being used for, albeit it would likely be more relevant than just an introduction piece. There's no doubt more to it, but there is very clearly an illusion that the Mind Flayers are the main villains. I mean, they're also on the logo, but Sven has said that they're not the overarching bad guy. The way I see it, Baldur's Gate 3 will follow very similar themes to the original saga, with a particular focus on achieving power. Act 1, 2 and 3 may even somewhat follow the pattern of Baldur's Gate 1 and Shadows of Arm. Act 1 is a fish out of water story, discovering that you have an unusual power brimming with potential inside you. There's a sinister evil that you don't understand and that you don't immediately confront. Instead, you confront its lackeys. Saravok was convinced that his war of blood would make him ascend to godhood in the first game, but we saw doubts start to arise just before our final battle with him. He was a tool, just like the true souls are tools, convinced they are actually meant for something bigger. Act 2 will very likely lead us to some answers, and we'll probably start to understand our condition better. with this act being the one where we remove or perhaps choose to keep our tadpole. Our personal quest to remove the tadpole will likely clash with the villain's main objective, and the two will collide. In Shadows of Arm, our personal quest was to first save Imowin, and then to recover our soul from Irenicus, all whilst he was trying to ascend to godhood. Our personal quests connected with the villains, which meant for a very immersive story. We'll likely become aware of a far more sinister plot taking place, which we are a part of through the fact that we are some kind of anomaly in the main villain's plan. Now, with regards to Act 3, I don't think we'll be able to compare it to Throne of Baal, as it wasn't really on par with Shadows of Arm and Baldur's Gate 1. It was more of a royal rumble of Ballspawn, which fell rather flat when compared to villains like Irenicus and Serevok. However, we only have to look at Larian's press release material to see just how interchangeable their description could be with the original Baldur's Gate saga. Dark powers are awakening inside you, drawn from a mind flayer's parasite planted in your mind. Resist and turn evil against itself, or embrace corruption and lay claim to the Forgotten Realms. Now, you just have to replace Mind Flayer Parasite planted in your mind with the essence of Baal, and you've got something that could perfectly sum up the original saga. This really leads me to believe that the running theme throughout Baldur's Gate 3 will match the themes present in the first games. It won't be a carbon copy, but it is likely to be a worthy successor. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!